What's up guys, it's me Deshaun, and today we'll be ranking every single Saiyan from weakest to strongest in the Dragon Ball series. The only exception here is that I'm not using GT or Heroes characters. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you love Dragon Ball and for more content, and with that, we'll start the list with the non-combatant Saiyans, Moriko, Neon, and Shido. And we see these three characters for the first time in the Broly movie. Obviously, since they're scientists and they're not going to be fighting much, I think it's fitting that they're the lowest on the list. With Moriko being the old man with the beard, and Shido looking like a version of Raccoon before he decided to become zesty. But last but not least, and my personal favorite, Neon the scientist girl with a lot of Rule 34. And thirsty Twitter art of her despite literally being on screen for like 5 seconds. Cool thing is though with her character is that people are speculating that she might actually be a clone and that Saiyans might have potentially cloned her. As we see in this scene in the movie, there's a bunch of girls that look almost identical to her in terms of hair color, build, etc. I don't know, but up next we have Beats, who is also in the Broly movie. This guy is very weak and actually got bopped by Broly's father. He's basically the equivalent of a fodder Saiyan soldier who's not even a combatant, and he's probably the bridge between the scientists and low-ranking Saiyan soldiers, as he would only do petty jobs for the Saiyan military. All I know is that if you ever played Dokkan and you got one of those shit cards, he would be one of those characters. Like, keep in mind this guy's weaker than a Cyberman. Up next we have Gin, Goku's mom. Now honestly you can probably put Beats over her, but since she's on Bardock's team, I feel like she's seen more combat than Beats ever had his entire life. At least she's considered a low-class Saiyan warrior than whatever Beats is. At least she can use a ki blast. Up next we have Vegeta's brother Tarbell. If you want to know how strong this guy is, just know that his ult in Raging Blast 2 is him dropping his Saiyan pod. Now with that being his special ability, you know, his best attack in the game, even by the video game standard, with it not being canon and all, despite that, it should say a lot about Tarbell's power. He kind of sucks, and I doubt he's fighting anybody in the Saiyan saga. And if you guys ever wondered what Tarbell's wife looks like, yeah, here she is. That's the aunt of Trunks. You know, I do like Tarbell and his wife, and I hope that they come back in Super, maybe for, I don't know, a funny filler chapter, but as a Saiyan that's related to Vegeta, with obviously Saiyan elite blood running through him, his combat ability seems as if it would be decent, but this guy never really fights. Even when he was living on a remote planet with his wife, it seems as though he barely seen any combat. So I think this placement is pretty justified. Up next, we have Taro, Leek, and Major Domo. There's not much to say about these characters outside of the fact that they're in Bardock's squad, and I guarantee you they've seen more combat than Tarbell. They're Saiyans that actually fight. So when you compare that to Saiyans that don't fight or are pacifists, I think they definitely have the edge over them. As for Major Domo, this is the guy or the advisor of King Vegeta. Me personally, I feel like you'd have to be pretty strong and or knowledgeable to be that high of a rank to be around Saiyan elites. Maybe he was a retired elite Saiyan, so he serves as the king's advisor? I feel like that would make a lot of sense, because he's definitely got that angry Saiyan fighter look to him. Up next, we have the Phantom Saiyans, Pumpkin, and Braco. Now, there is a movie pamphlet that says these characters are 3,000 in terms of power level. Unfortunately, the movie pamphlet has many inconsistencies in terms of what actually happens in the actual series and other characters' power levels. So we're going to just disregard that. Now, in the episode that they appear in, Kami says that these Saiyans are half as strong as a full-fledged one, so I think that would justify why they'd be so low on the list. A full-fledged Saiyan would more or less be somewhere along the lines of a mid-ranked Saiyan, and these guys are half as strong as that. So yeah, they're kind of garbage. Man, I'm just slandering today. Their biggest claims to fame are bullying the other Z fighters before they actually get their potential unlocked, or before they train with Kami, and I'm not gassing them. Up next, we have Raditz with a power level of 1,500. Raditz is the first villain that we see in Dragon Ball Z, who gave not just one, but both Goku and Piccolo a hard time in combat. And honestly, in the end of the original Dragon Ball, both of them were extremely strong, so when Raditz first showed up in Z, oh my god. For the beginning of the story, he is the perfect menace and the start of the extremely strong Saiyans. Well, maybe not strong anymore, but you get my point. Seeing an attack that would blow up a mountain just graze his arm and he basically took no damage, still left an impact on me to this day. He's a perfect example of a baseline for a Saiyan warrior and the first threat to the series. Up next, we have Fasha with a power level of 2,000. She'll be the first of the many members of Team Bardock to be on this list. Now, unfortunately, because Team Bardock dies so early, it's hard to really tell you exactly what they're capable of doing because they just get bought by Team Dodoria, and with Dodoria having a power level of 22,000, that's not really very surprising. As for the rest of the members of Team Bardock, Borgos, we don't really get a power level for him specifically, but I feel like he's stronger than Fasha. After all, we see him manhandle a guy that got a sneak attack in on Bardock. I doubt he's stronger than Shugesh or Tora, who is stated to be the strongest of Team Bardock, so I think it's fair to put Borgos right above Fasha. Right above them, we have Nappa with a power level of 4,000. Now, personally, I thought this was kind of strange. I thought Nappa would have been a lot stronger, but it seems as though he would be an upper middle class Saiyan. And to me personally, I feel like this makes sense because an upper middle class Saiyan would be at the same level of a peak human in Dragon Ball after getting trained by God Kami themselves. And with Saiyans obviously being on planets that require more gravity, I do kind of feel like this is a very accurate way to see how an average Saiyan would perform when invading other planets. Planets typically filled with intelligent humanoid-like beings. Nappa would basically be the equivalent of a standard squad member in somebody's team. This would make sense as he would be a standard squad member for Vegeta, so it'd be natural for him to match characters that are in Team Bardock. For example, next up we have Shugesh at a power level of 4,200. This would actually make a lot of sense because he was second to last to get defeated. He's the Saiyan with the gray skin. Up next we have Paragus, Broly's father. It's kind of crazy to think that Broly's father is stronger than Nappa, but it is confirmed that his power level is 4,200. And last but not least, the strongest out of Team Bardock, we have Tora, the last one to get defeated by Dodoria. He put up a valiant effort, but alas, he did lose that fight. Up next, we have the leader of Team Bardock with a power level of 10,000, Bardock himself. Now, with Bardock, there are obviously three different versions of him. This being the Bardock from the first TV special. He occurred in Bardock, the father of Goku. Then there's Bardock from episode of Bardock, who has the ability to go Super Saiyan. And last but not least, Bardock from Dragon Ball minus the canon one that is in Super. Now, the Bardock I'm using is the one from the original because that's the one most people are familiar with, and the one from minus is unfortunately most likely a lot weaker than the one from the original showing that he was in. Now, he finally made it to the king of all Saiyans himself, King Vegeta, the quote-unquote Saiyan elite himself. It was actually confirmed in the Daizenshu that he is the strongest Saiyan from age 737. You know, you better be the strongest if you're named after the planet itself. So yes, King Vegeta is the strongest from age 737. Up next, we have Turles from the Tree of Might movie with a power level of 19,000. Naturally, this would make sense as he'd be stronger than King Vegeta and stronger than the same Vegeta that we see during the Saiyan saga. It's time we give the original Goku Black some credit. Not only was Turles able to keep up with a Goku that used Kaioken times 10. But to lay out a bigger perspective for you guys, in the Tree of Might movie, when the Shinseiju seed is first planted into Earth, it begins to sap all of the life energy out of it. And this same life energy would be the same exact energy Goku would draw upon when using the Spirit Bomb. Once he takes a bite of this fruit, Turles would then use the power of the Spirit Bomb in the Earth for himself, easily making him stronger than any Saiyan elite. Up next, we have a character that none of you would ever expect, and he is from the Dragon Ball gag series Neko Majin, and his name is Onion. Personally, he might be my favorite Saiyan character. His design screams epic and powerful. And while on the topic of being powerful, he's so strong, he can go into Super Saiyan. I was joking about liking his design. Okay, I like it, but it's not powerful. I'm sorry, it's not powerful. This guy looks fucking horrible. But in all honesty, as a Super Saiyan, he should be able to beat Turles without even trying. And you won't believe who's stronger than Onion. How could this guy possibly be stronger than Onion? It's Yamoshi, the Super Saiyan god himself, or in this sense, the very first legendary Super Saiyan. Before planet Vegeta, there was the original planet of the Saiyans, and there was a man named Yamoshi, who had a righteous heart despite being a Saiyan. He and his 5 comrades started a rebellion, but he was cornered by combatants and became a Super Saiyan for the first time. Though his transformation and fearsome fighting style shocked the other Saiyans, outnumbered Yamoshi eventually wore himself out and was defeated. In a respective one-on-one, I feel like Yamoshi would beat Turles, Onion, and King Vegeta. Think of it like this. Put this into perspective. It was this man and his 5 comrades versus an entire planet full of Saiyans with the ability to go grade 8. And he only lost because he got worn out, because he was tired. I could only imagine what it would be like for anybody to be in that situation fighting. Goku on a desolate planet fighting an army, no, a planet full of Saiyans. All similar to Nappa, Bardock, and the other members of his team. Super Saiyan is strong, but that is an incredibly insane feat to think of nonetheless. Up next, we have the fan favorite himself, Future Gohan. The fact that he trained the prodigy of Future Trunks, the same guy that pulled up on Frieza and turned him into lizard sashimi, should say enough in itself. Future Gohan is so strong, he was able to take on both Android 17 and 18. Even though he had one arm. What I love about Future Gohan is the fact that we get to see what it would be like if Gohan took the role of Goku and donned the responsibility of saving the Earth. Wish we would have got to see more of this version of Gohan, but it's all good, I guess. Up next, we get to see Goten. Now in the Daizenshu, it says that Goten, by virtue of being Goku's son, possesses battle power not the least bit inferior to even Gohan, on top of being able to unleash a startling amount of power even in his normal state. He can easily transform into a Super Saiyan. Furthermore, he merges with Trunks and does the fusion. Now, as for this statement, I don't think they're comparing Goten to Super Saiyan 2 Gohan during the Cell games. I think they would more or less be comparing him to Gohan when he's in his base form. That would make the most sense to me. Because obviously Goten cannot go Super Saiyan 2, so how is this dude as why would people say he's as strong as Gohan during the Cell games when he can't even go Super Saiyan 2? I feel like that's a crazy claim. Now, this crazy power would come from the fact that Goten and Trunks are a part of the tailless second generation and are Ultra Child prodigies, so they have an extremely strong latent power within them. Saiyan genes have an extraordinarily good compatibility with Earthling blood. Because of this, when the two races are mixed together, children with formidable powers are born, particularly those halflings born without tails, hide, and exceptional battle power. There are many things that they naturally master from a young age, such as the ordinarily arduous transformation into a Super Saiyan. In spite of having such an outstanding battle sense, they do not have a fondness for battle like a pure Saiyan. Instead, it seems that the violent temperament of the Saiyans has been relaxed through their Earthling blood. So if you ever wondered why Goten and Trunks aren't as strong, or like, oh, why can't these characters be hype or better than what they were? Maybe because of their Earthling blood is actually holding them back. That's why at the end of Z, even Goten, we see him slack off and he doesn't want to train anymore. Because unfortunately, he does not have that hunger for battle. Now that's pretty disappointing, but I kind of don't really have that much of a problem with it, because rather than just being a copy and paste of Goku and doing the same things that Goku does, we get a nice contrast between the two. Now above Goten, we have Kid Trunks. Not only does Trunks have a higher power level than Goten, but when we go back to Goten's character profile in the guidebook, we learn that Goten was raised without having a fighting instructor. He learned Kumite, the basis of hand-to-hand combat, from Chi-Chi, and had make-believe battles with Trunks. Now, if you put that into comparison with Kid Trunks, who probably didn't train very often, but most likely got trained by Vegeta and more or less had time to train in higher levels of gravity, and then you add in the fact that Trunks says that he's a little stronger than Goten, I feel like for the most part it still adds up, and that it would be a fair placement to put Trunks above Goten. Kind of funny as well, because up next we have Trunks' future self above his kid self on the list. Now, I'm pretty sure there's no argument there. Obviously, older Trunks is going to be stronger than Kid Trunks, but the characters that are in front of future Trunks on the list might be what make people kind of decisive on my ranking of the characters. Now, in the anime for Dragon Ball Super, Trunks fights fused Zamasu, merged Zamasu in his base Super Saiyan form, but in the end, he does have to rely on the power from everyone else that still lives on Earth in order to defeat merged Zamasu. Now, I'm not going to take Trunks' fighting ability away from him, but I do feel like it would be a lot more consistent to use the manga for Dragon Ball Super rather than the anime, since the anime has multiple different script writers, and for the most part, Toyotaro and Toriyama make direct adjustments to this script specifically for the manga version. If you were to follow the anime, you'd have some very good arguments in terms of Trunks' strength, but I feel like this is a decent spot for him to be in if we're going by the changes that the creator himself has made to that same story in the manga. In the manga, future Trunks was so strong he was able to completely decimate Dabura, and he's so strong he was able to at least fend off Goku Black. In this same, Goku Black could fight a both Super Saiyan Blue Goku and a Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, but unfortunately fending off and fighting are obviously two different things. I bet you guys would never be able to guess who's above Trunks on this list. Did you guess Goku Black? Because yes, it is Goku Black. Now, I'd like to point out this is Goku Black, specifically by himself, not merged with Zamasu, not Zamasu and Goku Black, just Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. Obviously, he's much stronger than Trunks. He was able to fight both Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta and a Super Saiyan Blue Goku. He's so much stronger than Trunks that Trunks had to go back in time and get backup. I think that plot point in itself should settle any argument on whether or not Trunks is stronger than Goku Black. Up next, I put Kaba on the list. Yes, I made him stronger than Goku Black, and I feel like this is going to be divisive, but I think the Universe 6 Saiyans are much stronger than Goku Black, and I think that's fair. So keep in mind, while Goku and Vegeta were both at a very low energy cap, so much to a point in which they were fighting Goku Black with just regular Super Saiyan God, and switching from God to Blue, Goku Black was struggling. Kaba is so strong that during the Tournament of Power, they were able to fight against a much stronger Golden Frieza that has been image training in hell ever since he died in Resurrection of F. And on top of this, even though he was getting his ass beat, he was able to fight against Dispo. Now, to be honest, I feel like it's kind of hard to choose between Goku Black and Kaba, so I think saying either or is fair, but I'm more likely going to lean towards Kaba because I do believe that Golden Frieza is stronger than that Goku Black that was getting bopped by a fucking Vegeta that couldn't even maintain blue against him. And this same Frieza would do considerable damage to Goku in a fight. But if you don't like Kaba being in front of Goku Black, that's understandable. Up next, we have Khalifa. Khalifa is a Saiyan prodigy, and she is stronger than Kaba. While fighting base to base, she utterly decimates him without even trying, until Kaba pulls out his Super Saiyan transformation, and then he just beats her up without even trying as well. But eventually down the line, Khalifa learns how to use Super Saiyan, and this would put her right above Kaba on this list. And above all else, she was putting up more of a fight against Golden Frieza than Kaba. Up next, we have Kale, the female Broly herself. The entire time, Kale was hiding her powers from Khalifa. She might not be as skilled in combat as Khalifa, but she is stronger than her. We are told this directly by Kaba himself, as he pushes Kale to use her powers against Golden Frieza. And it seems her powers go even beyond that, because she was able to take on both Golden Frieza and Super Saiyan Blue Goku at the same time. She literally torments him, and after that proceeds to take out most of the contestants in the Tournament of Power, single-handedly eliminating both Universe 10 and 3. Now, this is the part in the video that is so hard for me to make. the top 5 strongest Saiyans in the entirety of Dragon Ball as we know it. So for starters, the first character I want to talk about is Broly. Now Broly is so strong. He was able to push Goku and Vegeta to a point in which they'd have to fuse and turn into Super Saiyan Gogeta. Now this Broly is much stronger than the Jiren that we see them fight in the Dragon Ball Super manga. In fact, Vegeta and Goku both were giving Jiren a run for his money, and MUI Goku was standing a good chance against him. If he didn't run out, he probably would have been able to handle Jiren all by himself, as he turned the fight into an endurance test. It brings the question, what would have happened if Goku could use Ultra Instinct as well as he could in the Moro or Granola arc? Or what would have happened if Gogeta would have fought Jiren? Me personally, I think Gogeta would beat Jiren. But if we're going based off the anime, maybe you could argue something else. But to get back to the topic of Broly, so you could argue and debate Broly's placement. More or less his placement up against the next person on this list. And I will be talking more about Broly after I cover the character I believe to be stronger than him, Gohan. Now in the Dragon Ball Super manga, while Piccolo is fighting Gamma 2, and after he sees both 1 and 2 together, he goes to Master Karen and tells them that based on his own battle, that he would say both of the Gammas are on par with Goku and Vegeta. Now what makes this tricky is the fact that this arc is after both the Moro and Granola arc. Now the Red Ribbon Army has been watching Goku and Vegeta, and they used this intel on Goku and Vegeta to make Gamma 1 and 2, but this intel would unfortunately not be up to date because this would be them based on how strong they are in the Moro fight. This would be based on how strong they are after the Broly movie, and I would say they would by far be much stronger than Broly during the Moro arc. Keep this in mind. What if Goku would have went MUI against Broly? Or what if Vegeta were to go Ultra Ego against Broly as well? They would have absolutely mopped the floor with that Broly. And then if you take into account their current base forms from the Granola arc, if those forms would have fused, they would have utterly decimated that same Broly as well. Now during the Granola arc, Goku and Vegeta are fighting the strongest fighter in the universe, and that would be Granola after his wish. And the same strongest in the universe would have been Gas, and they would know techniques like Shunkanido or instant transmission and Hakai, etc. Now at the end of the arc, Black Frieza shows up, one taps these much stronger versions of both Goku and Vegeta at the end of the Granola arc. And from that time forward, they would be training to get even stronger than how they were in the Granola arc. And during this time, this is when the superhero movie would take place. So to make sure we're all on the same page here, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are based off of the Goku and Vegeta that took place during the Moro arc, not the Granola arc, or the end of the Granola arc. So Goku and Vegeta could arguably both be much stronger than the Gamma 1 and 2 that Piccolo is referring to. Now we actually have official statements by Toriyama when he talks about how strong Orange Piccolo is. But unfortunately, he doesn't really clarify on how strong Gohan would be, but it would be safe to assume that he's much stronger than this Orange Piccolo. And this is what Toriyama says about how strong Orange Piccolo is. He said that he's finally happy that Piccolo has attained battle power on par with Goku. Now, some would take this statement and just be like, oh, he's as strong as Goku, but me personally, on par does not mean you're at the exact same level. For example, if we were to take sports into account, we have a lot of professionals, but we don't have that many Cristiano Ronaldos, Messis, LeBrons, whatever you want to use. Since Piccolo is on par, he would be in the same ball game. Now, we know that Gohan is significantly stronger than this Orange Piccolo. And if we look at Toriyama's statements about Cell Max, he gives us some interesting insight as well. He says if Cell Max had been completed according to plan, he would have been a superhuman who even Broly couldn't defeat. But since he was forcibly activated, he became an uncontrollable monster. So Gohan absolutely decimated Cell Max. And you'd think he'd be stronger than Broly based off of this by itself, but if you think of Toriyama's statement, this would not be the same Broly that we see in the Broly movie, but instead this would be the Broly that is currently training with Goku and Vegeta during the superhero arc or movie. Now in the movie, at the end, after defeating Cell Max, Gohan says that I don't think that, Goku and Vegeta could have took that Cell Max on in a fight. But he would be saying this based off of this Gamma 1 and the Gamma 2 with the late intel on how strong current Ultra Ego Vegeta and MUI Goku are, while training with this same Broly that could take Cell Max on in his incomplete form. A lot of people say Gohan is the strongest character in the new peak of this series. I feel like you could say that, but I do feel like you can't just brush all this other information under the rug. He's kind of the new peak, but he kind of isn't, because that's not in comparison to both current Vegeta and current Goku. But when it comes to who you think is stronger between Gohan and Broly, obviously Broly could defeat Cell Max, and Gohan could defeat Cell Max as well. And to be fair, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that Goku and Vegeta could do the same feat by defeating Cell Max too. But when it comes to Beast Gohan and Broly and their placements, I feel like it is extremely debatable, because they're much closer than I think most people actually realize. Especially if Broly is training with both Goku, Vegeta, Beerus, and Whis. I personally feel like Broly is more likely to be stronger than Gohan, but I will say for this list, Gohan is above Broly, until further notice. Gohan is a Saiyan hybrid and has the most potential out of any character. Even Vegeta says that Gohan has the greatest potential among all of them. But unfortunately, he does not train like them. I think this hike in power is giving us a taste of Gohan's potential. But because Goku, Vegeta, and Broly are actually training, they're obviously going to eclipse Gohan sooner rather than later. Especially if Broly is so strong that he could perform the same feat that Gohan did by defeating Cell Max. Maybe things will be different in the manga, but I feel like this is a fair assessment. Up next, we have a very special character. A character that you wouldn't think would be a Saiyan, but he actually is, because he has S cells, and that would be Neko Majin. Now, I know what y'all are thinking. Look, I don't make the rules, I just follow them. Now, we all know that Dragon Ball Super takes place before the end of DBZ. And obviously, Goku is going to be much stronger at the end of DBZ than he's going to be in Super, because this would be after Super. Neko Majin is capable of fighting a Blue Gi Goku that is most likely significantly stronger than his Super counterpart, because this would be Goku after everything in Super happens. And this character is able to fight him. So, like, it sounds crazy. Like, I'm sorry, I know he's musty, I know he's dusty, but he's got hands, he's got hands. I would say this guy is stronger than most likely any form of Goku that we're going to see in Super, because, Goku ended the series after all that stuff that happened in Super. His base form's obviously going to be stronger than anything that's happened in Super. So Neko Majin is pretty busted. Up next, we have the silver medalist right here. Silver medalist of Dragon Ball, Vegeta. Unfortunately, Vegeta is always behind Goku. At the end of Dragon Ball, Vegeta even says, "I'm gonna catch you one day, Kakarot." As Goku flies off with Oob to go train and leave Peak Fiction on a cliffhanger until Super gives us time skip. Please give us time skip. But yes, Vegeta is typically crying about being in second place. We obviously know number one on the list is the main character, our boy Goku. Blue Gi, end of series, not touching him. That's all I gotta say. Confirmation, strongest. Ultra Instinct, peak. Don't ever say my nigga is about to be on some weak ass shit! Goku's the strongest Saiyan. I hope you guys enjoyed this list, and please subscribe if you want more Dragon Ball content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all take it easy. I'm out.